Good morning, Morai v'Rabotai, Bruchim Abbaim. We're continuing on Masechet Succah, and we are on the bottom of the Nun Hey, Amud Bet, 2 lines up from the bottom of the Amud. Today's Amud has been sponsored by the Dan family, Rifah Shlema of Daniela bat Rachel, Mazal bat Saltanat Goltaj. Also has been sponsored for Rifah Shlema of Daniel Moshe ben Farangis Abraham, also been dedicated to this Amud for the Hatzlacha and a proper Shidduch for David Chaim ben Ephraim. This Amud also been dedicated by the Habubi family, Leilui Nishmat Betzalel ben Rafael Esther, and for Rifah Shlema of Sarah bat Mina. Samud also is sponsored L'Rifah Shlema of Rachel Simcha bat Nahid and Michael ben Nahid. They should have full recovery. Rifah Shlema Be'ezrat Hashem. Amen. Okay, so we started our Mishnah of Bishlosha Prakim, that 3 times a year we had an equal opportunity, a free-for-all for all the Kohanim to serve in the Beit HaMikdash. As we explained before, it's not that every day any Kohen could just come, walk into the Beit HaMikdash and say, here I am, I'm ready to do the Avodah. They had to follow the order of the Mishmarot. The normal number that we deal with is 24 of the Mishmarot Keunam that was instituted by David and Shmuel HaNavi. And they had to wait their turn twice a year, approximately. Every mishmara worked in the Beit HaMikdash. Obviously, besides one big exception, and that's Shalosh Regalim. 3 times a year, on Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot, all of the Kohanim, anyways, they have to be, Yirei Kol Zechurcha, they have to be in Yerushalayim. So once they're there, all of them equally have the opportunity of Kechol Echav HaKohanim, La'amod L'sharet et Hashem, to stand and serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. All of them have equal opportunity. And this was for the Korbanot HaChag, for any of the Korbanot that was, the obligation was because of the Chag. Now, we mentioned about the 70 bulls and all the other daily Korbanot of Chag HaSukkot. We also spoke about the Korbanot HaReiyah, Shalmei Chagiga, Shalmei Todah, that was, meaning Korban HaReiyah, the Olat HaReiyah, Shalmei Chagiga and Shalmei Simcha, rather, that was brought due to the Chag. All of those, the Kohanim share equally, but the daily, the Pasuk Vav says, when the Kohen comes from one of the cities, Mikol Israel, anywhere he lives, Asher Hu Gar Sham, that he lives there, he comes with his desires to the Beit HaMikdash. He will serve in the name of Hashem, his God. He will serve like any of the brothers of Shevet Levi that he has, meaning Kohanim, that are standing there and serving Hashem. This was Pasuk Vav and Zayin. Pasuk Chet says, Chelek kechelek yochelu, equal halakim, equal portions they shall eat, levadim bekarav al ha'avot, which we're going to accept the mecharav al ha'avot, which we're going to explain in just a moment. But the pasuk says that they will be eating equal portions. So these people, these Kohanim who came from all over the place, that are not the same mishmar, are from different mishmarot, they come and they serve equally and they'll eat equally. So what is the pasuk talking about, eating equally? It must be lechem hapanim. Oh, you would say, no, what do you mean lechem hapanim? Maybe he's talking about korbanot. What do the Kohanim eat in the retirement? That's the main thing they eat is not lechem hapanim. That's once a week. They'll eat korbanot, maybe we will say that's what it means. It means they take equal share in B'sar HaKorbanot. They have Chazeh, Shok, they have all these portions that they get from the Korbanot. So maybe you would say Chelek kechelek yochelu, hashtut of the understanding, the simple understanding of chelek kechelek yochelu would be the besar asvachim. So it says the Gemara, don't say that. Umay achila, what is achila, says the Gemara, when he says chelek kechelek yochelu? If you want to suggest that this is a reference to the korbanot, says the Gemara, mehatam nafka. It's not coming from here. It comes from a different. You have explicit pasuk about that. You know what the explicit pasuk is? Very simple. Who gets to eat the korbanot? It's not auctioned. Aliyat Rishon. It's not. Whoever brings the korban gets to eat it. Gets to eat those parts that Kohanim get. So who could bring it? Anyone. Who could take it? Anyone. Whoever brings it gets it. So then you don't need a pasuk for that, says the Gemara. Lekohen makriv ota lo tiyeh. The pasuk says the chalakim, the portions of the korban that goes to the shefet keuna, will be to the kohen that brings the korban. The kohen makriv ota lo tiyeh. Therefore, do I need an extra pasuk for that? Absolutely not. I don't need the extra pasuk for that.
You went black.
It must be. What else is there to eat that will be equal? Lechem hapanim. So it says in Gemara, Yachol af bechovot habaot shelo machamat haregel. Can it be that the Kohanim also share in everything else? In other words, when the pasuk in Devarim Yudchet Vav and Zayin says that the Kohanim come b'chol avat nafsho mikol Israel, that from anywhere they come and they sheret kechol echad Kohanim Aleviim, that he could serve like any of the other Kohanim. So maybe the pasuk is suggesting, this is a natural discourse of the thought process. You'd say, well, the pasuk says 3 times a year. It's an exception. The entire year, every mishmara does their own thing. 3 times a year, exception. It's free for all. So maybe when it's free for all, what's free for all? Everything is free for all. That means ketoret, tamid shel shachar, tamid shel ben arba'im, neder, nedava. If someone says, I'm going to bring an olah to Hashem, and it just happens to be, you have to understand that this actually is a very relevant question. The nafkamina, this is $1 million drasha, because the nafkamina of this is thousands of animals. Because think to yourself, you live in Haifa, you live in the north, in Sfat, and you made a neder. Back in the day when there were no cars and no this, and it's few months left to Chag HaSukkot, to Chag HaPesach, you say, I'll bring an olah to Hashem. When are you going to bring it? Well, natural thing is, he said, tomorrow I'm going to bring it. But naturally, one day it's going to roll to another, and naturally, a lot of the nedarim and nedavot were brought on Shalosh Shekalim because you're there. You're you're going to be on Olera. You're being Olera. So, but that, do they have anything to do with the Chai? Absolutely not. It's a chovah that you have, and you happen to bring it on the Chag, but it's not really a chovat HaChag. So you see that this is a big nafkamina. You're talking about hundreds, if not thousands of animals that will be brought. And says the Gemara, are those also free for all? Any Kohen could get those? And says, what I know. Can it be the obligations of Nedarim, Nedavot, all those korbanot that are not machamat haregel, are not caused by the regalim, but they're brought by regel. Now it becomes relevant, the last piece of that pasuk, chet, that we just read a minute ago. It says, chelek yechelek yochelu. Yes, they will have equal portions in Shalosh Regalim, except, says the pasuk, rak levad mimecharav ala avot. Aside from the sales, the exchanges of the avot. So it says in what does that mean? Except the sales of the avot. Ma macheru avot zelazeh. What did the avot hakeuna, the early generations of Kohanim, what did they sell to each other? What did they exchange? What did they make up as a deal? Their deal was, I will have it in my mishmarah, you have it in your mishmarah. We'll be orderly. So the pasuk itself is coming to tell you that the exception of the Shalosh Regalim does not touch and does not affect the regular day-to-day mundane activities and haloch yelech of the Beit HaMikdash's operation. So you have Korban Tamid Shel Shachar every day. The mishmarah that was supposed to do it that week, had it not been because of the Chag, that mishmarah only gets to bring Tamid Shel Shachar, Tamid Shel Bar Arbaim, Ketoret, Nedarim, Nedavot, all those things, only the Kohanim of that mishmarah will have. Says the Gemara, Ani b'Shabbati, v'ata b'Shabbatcha. I'll do it in my week. That Shabbat does not mean Shabbat. I'll do it in my week, and you do it in your week. Every one of them does their own portion. Fine. So now that we clarified the even distribution of the korbanot, the equal opportunity of both doing and also benefiting from the korbanot achad, we're going to move to the next part of the Mishnah, that when the Shavuot would fall to be on Shabbat, there are two breads to be divided. Right? What are the two breads? One is the Lechem HaPanim, because that was divided every Shabbat anyways. And one is today's Korban, which is Shtar Lechem, right? The two breads of Chametz that will be brought on, that's the Korban of Shavuot. So it says, the Mishnah, that when Shavuot falls to be on Shabbat, they would say, in the language of the Mishnah over here, here is your matzah, here is your chametz. That means, you remember when we did the Mishnah, we mentioned how you have to pay attention to the order over here in the Mishnah, right? The order of our Mishnah is, you first would give them the matzah, and then the chametz, right? They would give, and we also mentioned that the chidush was, the Kohanim can't just say, I like lechem hapanim more, you like chametz more, we'll switch up, you get my chametz, I get your matzah, it's like we can't do that. Right? Everyone has their own chelik, so on that says the Gemara, ba'atzeret omer lo helach chametz, helach matzah, itmar, we learned, Rav Amar, Sukkah v'achar kach zman. We go a little bit of a tangent, minyan le'inyan be'oto inyan, that there's a machloket, Rav and Chagam Moraim, when you sit by Chag HaSukkot first night, when you start the Kiddush Hayom, what's the order of the bracha? Now, this is really an offshoot from almost 10 blot ago. Oh, exactly. It's up in Vav, right? So we had to wait for this 10 dapim to get to Numav. There, you remember how we discussed the Bikat Shechianu, right? As it came as a surprise to most people, that when you build your sukkah, you say Shechianu. Remember that? You're building a sukkah, you get all excited. Shechianu, Yevanu, you get out. If you didn't do that, then the night of Sukkot, you stand there and you say Shechianu and Kiddush Hayom, right, of Chag HaSukkot together. Everyone remembers that. So says the Gemara, it's Machloket Amoraim, what the order would be. What would be the order? Do you say Chag HaSukkot first and then Shechianu? Or do you say Shechianu and only then Chag HaSukkot? And both of them have a logical discourse, have a logical reason why they would be first or second, says the Gemara. Itma, Rav Amar, Rav is the one that holds Sukkah v'achar kach zman. You first say bracha in Sukkot, Chag HaSukkot, and only then you say bracha on Shechianu. Rav Amar, the Talmud, one of the legendary students of Rabbi Yochanan was Rav Arachana, and Rav Arachana says Zeman v'achar kach Sukkah. No, you say Shechianu first, and only then Chag HaSukkot. But what's the reason? Says the Gemara, Rav Amar Sukkah v'achar kach zman. Rav who holds Chag HaSukkot is first and only then Shechianu. It's a very simple reasoning. Because chiyuv de yom adif. Of course, you got to first focus on today. Today is Chag HaSukkot. Shechianu is any new thing you say Shechianu, right? What's more specific to today is Chag HaSukkot. You say Chag HaSukkot first. You first say the bracha that is specifically designed and crafted for today, and only for today, which is Chag HaSukkot. And only then you say Shechianu. Chiyuv adei yom adif. The chiyuv, the obligation of today, is more important than saying Shechianu. Rabba bar Chana amar zman v'achar kach sukkah. Rabba bar Chana, who says Shechianu takes precedent at Chag HaSukkot, he says because tadir v'shelo tadir, tadir kodem. A good old rule of whatever is more frequent is more important. Now, what's more frequent? Chag HaSukkot is only 7 days. Shechianu, you have any time that you say have something new. Every Chag, every Yom Tov, every new thing. Shechianu is a far more frequent bracha. So tadir v'shelo tadir, tadir kodem. Now, that sounds like a very strong argument. We just know that we don't do that. So we're all mentally scratching our minds. We're going to get to that in just a few moments. Lema Rav Bar Chana the Ben Shammai uBeit Hillel come. Says Gemara, can we suggest that this machloket Rav and Rav Bar Chana is really the machloket Tanaim way earlier than Rav and Rav Bar Chana? It was already argued by Beit Hillel and Shammai. This is very strange because we don't necessarily want to do that. A, because we don't want to say machloket Amuraim, say machloket Tanaim, but specifically that we do often. But specifically because Bet Shammai Makom Bet Hillel and our Mishnah. When you have Bet Hillel and Bet Shammai, how many shittas do you have? One. Bet Shammai is disregarded. Since you say that generations after Bet Hillel and Bet Shammai, Machloket Rav and Rav Achara is Machloket Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel, that's not something necessarily we want to do. But that's how it sounds like. So the Gemara is going to go through it. It's going to explain to us Machloket Bet Hillel and Shammai and work a way out of it why this Machloket Rav and Rav Achara is really nothing to do with Machloket Bet Hillel and Shammai. So what is this Bet Hillel and Shammai we're talking about? It says the Gemara, first white line. Devarim sheben Bet Shammai uBeit Hillel b'seuda. The machlokets that we have learned about in Seudah about Bet Hillel Bet Shammai's differences in halachot of Seudah is Bet Shammai omdim mevarech al hayom v'achar kach mevarech al hayayin. When it comes to every Friday night, which bracha do you say first? You say B'Prei Gefen first, or you say Mekadesh Shabbat first? Right? Machloket Bet Hillel Bet Shammai. So Bet Shammai hold, Bet Shammai omdim mevarech al hayom v'achar kach mevarech al hayayin. They say you first say Mekadesh Shabbat, and only then you say B'Prei Gefen, and you do. Bet Hillel say what we do. Mevarech al hayayin v'achar kach mevarech al hayom. You first say B'Prei Gefen, then Mekadesh Shabbat. What's the logic of each one of the signs? So says the Gemara, Bet Shammai omdim mevarech al hayom v'achar kach mevarech al hayayin. Why do you say bracha al Mekadesh Shabbat first before Birkat hayayin? Because, says Bet Shammai, Shayom Gorem le'yayin. Why are you holding a cup of wine in your hand? The only reason that you're holding this cup in your hand is because it's Shabbat. The reason behind this cup of wine is Shabbat. So of course, the more important bracha is because Shabbat, who's the cause of the wine to come. So it says what are the two reasons behind it here? Bekvar kidesh hayom, and also, additionally, already has become Shabbat. Either because in Arvit, if it's still day, even if you did it early, like in summertime, but you said Mizmor Shelo Shabbat, you accepted Shabbat, so now it's Shabbat for you. So chronological order is first Shabbat, then Yayin. Yayin, you haven't said yet. You're holding the cup, hasn't come yet, so to speak. But Shabbat already has come. It's Shabbat. As you're standing here to say Kiddush, for you it's Shabbat, either because it has been nightfall and automatically it's Shabbat, or because you davened Arvit and you accepted Shabbat. Ooh. So therefore, in chronology also, you have to say Shabbat first before you say the wine. So again, two reasons for Bet Shammai. A, that the only reason that I'm holding this cup of wine right now is because I'm saying Kiddush of Shabbat. So Shabbat is the cause of the Kiddush, the cause of this wine to come. So therefore Shabbat should be first. Secondly, as I'm standing here, is it Shabbat yet? Yes. Even if it's not nightfall, it's Shabbat because I davened Arvit already had accepted Shabbat. So chronologically, Shabbat is first before the cup of wine hasn't come yet. I'm about to say bracha on it and it's not there yet. So therefore, for those two reasons, says the Shammai, you first say because Shabbat. Only then you say we're pregnant. But they're also going to have two reasons. Says the Gemara. The reason Beit Hillel holds that you say first bracha before you say the bracha on the wine on the Shabbat, because Shabbat is also twofold. Shayayin korem lekiddush ashtamo. But yes, unlike my friend that Shammai holds that the kiddush is the reason for yayin, it's the other way around. Not that they're wrong, but look at it from the other prism, from the other lens. That the reason that I am saying the kiddush right now is because I have wine. What would have happened if I didn't have wine? Can't say kiddush. You would say kiddush in Mekadosh Shabbat in Arvit. Right? The whole machloket of Kibbutz Eiger, it's a very geschmack array when Yom Kippur falls together Shabbat and Yom Kippur you don't have Kiddush, right? So when you say Mekadosh Shabbat, Yom Kippurim, Mekadosh Yisrael, Shabbat Yisrael, Yom Kippurim, in that bracha in Arvit of Yom Kippur that falls together Shabbat, you have to have Kavara that I'm being Yotze Kiddush of Shabbat with this bracha. If you didn't have wine or food on Friday, that's exactly what you would do. You'd not be saying Kiddush right now. So in some sense, says the Bet Hillel, the reason I'm able to say Mekadosh Shabbat right now is because I have the wine. So you tell me the wine is coming because of Kiddush, I'll tell you the Kiddush wouldn't even be there without the wine. So therefore, it's hafuch, it's the other way around, says the Bet Hillel. Really, the Kiddush is here only because I have wine. So of course I'm going to say the bracha first on wine, and then on Kiddush of Shabbat. So says the Gemara, the Baracher, a second reason, Birkat Hayayin Tedira, or Birkat Hayom Eina Tedira. You see this? This is now where it links to our Sukkah. It says Bet Hillel, which one is more prevalent? Which one is more, it's more Tadir? Of course, is Birkat Hayayin. That's much more frequent than the bracha Mekadosh Shabbat. Mekadosh Shabbat is once a week. We gotta give us every day, he said. So therefore, Tadir v'shem. Tadir kodem. Between those two, you say the one that is more frequent first. So says the Gemara, Lema Rav de Amar Kibet Shammai. Now this comes out very peculiar because Rav, which is what we do, so we say Birkat Hayayin, and only then, Birkat Chag Sukkah, and then Shechianu, which is Shitat Rav, turns to be like with Shammai, right? And only Rav Rachana becomes like Bet Hillel. So that's very awkward. Says the Gemara. Let us suggest, should we suggest that Rav is saying like with Shammai, and Rav Rachana is saying like Bet Hillel? Amar Lecha Rav. Because again, Rav is the one that says Sukkah comes first because that's the day. It's today Chovat Hayom, and Bet Shammai is the one that says, because Shabbat is Chovat Hayom. That's why they sound like each other, right? Says no. Rav disagrees. Rav says, "Well, you think I'm going to be saying like Bet Shammai? Absolutely not. What I'm saying is La Halacha is like Bet Hillel as well. Why? Because it's what Adka look how Bet Hillel Hata says over there. Bet Hillel say that you say the bracha of wine first, and only then the bracha of the yom. And Ashayayin korem lekidusha says over there the cause for kiddush is the wine, as we explained just a moment ago, and therefore. You say the bracha of wine first because it's the cause, and only then the bracha of the day. So I am saying like the Beit Hillel as well, because that's their reason over there. Aval Hacha, says Rav, in Chag HaSukkot, Ilav Zman, Milo Amrin and Sukkah, if you didn't have Shechianu, for whatever reason, if you can't say Shechianu, for whatever reason, you wouldn't say Bracha and Sukkah, they're unrelated. The reason I say Chag HaSukkot is not because of Shechianu. Shechianu is a completely separate thing. Because Sukkah is a completely separate thing. And therefore, they're not causing one another. It's not like Friday night that if I don't have wine, I can't say Kiddush. I can't stand by Friday night table and say, by Chul HaShemayim Ha'aretz, and then no on Geffen, no Brachan bread, and just say Mikadesh Shabbat. Can't do that. But by Chag HaSukkot, I could. If I don't need Shechianu for whatever reason, for instance, the woman who say the Bracha on, well, complicated because of Shas Garma, but if you have said already Shechianu for whatever reason, you stand that, if you said the Shechianu when you built the Sukkah, right? Like the Gemara says in Memba. So then I stand on Chag HaSukkot night, I'm not going to say, on Bracha, of course I'm going to say Bracha Sukkah. And unrelated to Shechianu. So says the Gemara, therefore, I am saying even like Beit Hillel, as well, the Rav of Barakana Amar, Ana, the Avri Afiru Beit Shammai. Rav Barakana says also, I am not just like Beit Hillel, I am like Beit Shammai as well. Ad kan lo Avri Beit Shammai Hata, because Beit Shammai over there, who say, that you say Bracha of Shabbat first and only then wine, because there, Beit Shammai hold that the Shabbat is the cause of the cup of wine that I'm holding. Remember how they said it? Over here is unrelated. Same argument. Aval Hacha ilo Sukkah milo amrina zman. Over here, if you're not saying Chag HaSukkot, for instance, a woman that's not chayav for Chag HaSukkot, she's not chayav l'shem Sukkah, but she's chayav Shechianu, right? Yeah, you still have to say Shechianu on the Chag, on the Tzuma the Yoma. So therefore, says Rav Archana, what I say is according to everyone, even according to Beit Shammai. And therefore, it's going to be according to everyone. Now, the Gemara is going to ask one final thing on it and bring this whole thing to the halachic maskana, why it is that we pass it like Rav versus Rav Archana, which was at the Shem. At the time, we will continue and we'll complete that in the next year.